9-1 for Don Staley's team. And many believe the best team in America, though UCLA will have something to say about that and a few others. But we are underway as the Gamecocks win the opening tip. Bree Hall on the wing. Up top to Pow Pow, the 5'9" senior out of Oceanside, California. She's on the move, trying a window, but comes up empty.
And this is what Jose Fernandez said. He did not want to allow us those second chance opportunities. You've got to have accountability to be one and done on defense.
Chloe Kitts getting inside for two. And look at the starting lineup. Very much an international flair for the Bulls of Jose Fernandez, who is in the 25th year in his career at South Florida. Dembele, Mama Dembele, the 5'6" point guard out of Spain, leads the attack. And a rounded out on the jump shot by Blazig, and a whistle. That'll go the other way inside the first minute.
We're going to watch the Bulls, and when they are on offense, how deep, if they're not scoring in transition, how deep do they get into the shot clock?
And the South Carolina starting five. We talk a lot about the bench in the open, but the starting five just outstanding. Pow Pow with 12 points a game. Kitts with 11. For Wiley with 11 points a game. Just great balance up and down.
Yeah, when you're trying to scout who to stop in South Carolina, they got so many options.
Hall swishes that one in. She's only hitting 44% out there.
Only. But that's it. It's not South Carolina. Normally, you know, the three national championships, you had Asia Wilson, you had Aaliyah Boston, Camila Cardoso. There's not a dominant center. They've got a great post game, but the balance is phenomenal.
Blazig up top, very dangerous outside their three-point line, 46%. Only 5'9", nice runner off the glass.
But you see how South Florida, they spread the floor, patient till late in the clock, try to slow this game down.
We were chatting with Jose before the game. Quick strike inside as Fagan gets two, the 6'3" senior. We were talking to Coach Fernandez of South Florida. He said, look, the big thing is stay connected. Stay as close as you can early on. Don't let them go on one of those incredible runs that they go on. UConn goes on. All the national championship teams of recent vintage, they can just bury you in 2 minutes.
Well, you definitely don't want South Carolina to go on a run and then you have to dig yourself out of a hole because that takes energy. Well, South Carolina's got plenty to go to, so they can always keep fresh bodies on the floor.
Pow Pow on the dribble. Up top for Fagan. Got a really good look. It won't drop in for her. And a rebound by Puisis out of Mason, Ohio, but she's about the only one from the United States for South Florida we're going to mention today because they've got 11 international players on this roster.
Jose Fernandez, since he has been at USF, he has gone international with his recruiting. And he said what he likes about that is the international players, they kind of grow up in a farm system, so they bring a pro-like prep mentality.
Pow Pow, great look. She can bring that all day. The fifth-year senior, the All-American for the triple. And South Carolina jumping out in front 10-2. As that one is tipped out, 6:57 to go here in the first. Don Staley, the 7-time SEC Coach of the Year, the Hall of Famer in the last 9 years. 6 trips to the Final Four. Jose Fernandez has had a lot of success at his school. He won 467 games at South Florida coming into today. And he's a regular in the NCAA tournament.
Well, and how rare is it for one coach to stay at the same place and have the success Jose has? 25 years in Tampa.
Blazig getting it downstairs and a nice left-handed shot. Putu at 6'2", the senior from the Congo.
I thought she might have traveled. She took a little extra step there.
Might have been.
It's not a travel if they don't call it.
That's right, as you often said. One of the first things I can remember you teaching me, among the many things, unless they call it. Pow Pow, another good look and another three-pointer, and she is off to the races today.
She makes it look so easy, and when you have a point guard that is a threat from the three like she is, that just opens up things for everybody else.
Now, there are very few players you're going to find in college basketball on the men's or women's side who play with as much joy as she does. Every day she shows up, it's a great day for her.
And she's a fifth-year senior. She made the decision to come back because she needed to diversify her game. It's not just about the three, but like the defense has picked up this season.
South Carolina 13-4 on South Florida. Here's Bree Hall averaging about 7 points a game. And a beautiful pass underneath for Fagan. And 2, and that's a timeout for Jose Fernandez.
South Carolina, unselfish. We talked about how much talent that they have. They don't care who gets the bucket. They all play a part in the success for the Gamecocks.
SEC Women's Basketball is brought to you by Regions Bank, official bank of the SEC. I'm not going to say it's the only reason we came here today, but to see Ashlyn Watkins possibly dunk the basketball for the 4th time in her career, did it against TCU, the number 9 team in the country.
I am here for it. But that TCU game, they just put it all together. That is the second 30-point win versus a ranked team this season. And it was a breakout game for Mylasia Fulwiley. 20 points and the efficiency, 8 of 15 from the floor. And then it was balanced. I mean, again, you got 3 different players that were in double digits, and the defense was just impressive.
Well, you were a very successful head coach in your own right. If you're prepping for them, going back to our open, what are the 1 or 2 things you're focusing on if you're going to have a chance to beat Don Staley's team?
Number 1 thing, box out. I would spend a whole first half of practice just with boxing it out and not allowing South Carolina to get second chance points. The next thing I would do is work on taking care of the basketball because their defense are forcing turnovers. They make you make mistakes.
Nice feed underneath and the block. South Carolina getting there. There's Watkins right on cue.
Well, we talked about the depth. And so now when you are able to rotate in and bring in an Ashlyn Watkins who is a shot blocker inside, you've got a freshman in Joyce Edwards dominant inside as well. It just keeps getting better for South Carolina as the game goes on.
Dembele trying to reverse, couldn't get that one to go. Now it's going to be knocked out. Williams with 5 on the shot clock, and South Carolina will have it. And Tuesday night, we got a men's basketball double dip coming your way on SEC Network and ESPN app. The annual Palmetto State rivalry between South Carolina and number 16 Clemson at Colonial Life Arena. Our coverage beginning at 7 Eastern and 6 Central Time.
I saw Colin Murray Bowles. I was at a high school boys game last night. That just coming off after they beat South Carolina upstate.
Ball with a long one. Yes, feathery touch there for 3. Any particular reason you were at that game?
Well, I got a nephew. He plays at IMG. Cody Peck. He's not too bad.
Cody Peck, who's like 6'10" and jumps through the ceiling, right?
And he can shoot it.
And he can shoot it. Other than that, wow. And wow goes for South Carolina. 18-4 here on South Florida. So it's getting away quickly here on the Bulls. They need a hot hand fast. Dembele, not a big scorer as a point guard, but she's going to drive quickly for 2.
Oh, and Don Staley's not happy about that, getting beat on a straight line drive.
Johnson up high for Watkins. Hands off for Hall, the 6-foot senior. Obviously a huge size advantage here for South Carolina today. It's going to be tapped out by Levy.
Dave, we're talking about being able to cover South Carolina. At times there are players you can play off of. Well, that's not the case. Like, it's tough to bring a double team, even on a fumbled ball, to South Carolina because they've got the 3-point threat on the perimeter.
Now Don Staley getting the 6'3" freshman Joyce Edwards in. She's having a good year, 9 points a game. The follow by Watkins up and good. Nice touch.
I love it when you talk about the women play around the rim. That's what Ashlyn Watkins brings you.
And hands the Gamecocks a 20-6 advantage. We were talking about Edwards. Jose Fernandez coached her over the summer and said she is just phenomenal.
Oh, how complimentary was he of her? Just really her presence and how she was a leader.
Watkins with another block.
Yeah,
yep.
She took care of business. Just brought a professionalism to the floor. Look at Ashlyn Watkins. Doesn't have to come down with it, keep it high, and she's got such soft hands on the finish. A missed shot's almost like an assist when you've got Watkins on the floor.
Brito kicking it back out high for Levy. Romy Levy from Israel wearing a mask. The shot clock almost expired. It did get it off, but now on the run out for Wiley. So quick downhill. Chauncey keeping that one alive. 3 minutes to go in the quarter. And too strong by Fo Wiley, the 5'10 sophomore. Nobody on the other end, and it's thrown out of play by South Florida. They had a golden chance to strike there.
Oh, those are the kind of turnovers, that you can hurt you. You've got to be able to take full advantage. When you have a run out before South Carolina can get their defense set, you got to pay that off.
Wide open, missed a golden chance there.
Got a mismatch.
Edwards asking for the ball, but gives it up. Dembele on the attack. Pusis can't connect. She comes in averaging 14 a game. They really have to rely on her to have a big game here today in Columbia.
You need Blasic and you need Puisis to really get going offensively, knock down some open shots.
Levy trying to take the baseline. Shut off. She'll pull up and pop. Got it. Nice looking left-handed jumper.
Yeah, Levy. I think she's adjusting to that face mask, and she had that injury in the Vanderbilt game. Like, she is preseason pick player of the year in the American Conference.
Yeah, nice block there by her. She'll trigger the break. They have numbers here. Trying to get it downstairs and indeed get the basket. Putu with 2. And the best looking transition today so far for South Florida.
Off their defense and running before South Carolina can get back.
Raven Johnson with it. Junior out of Atlanta, who had been slumping offensively, but had a good one against TCU. Watkins in the lane. Get the feeling a day like today, she can do about anything she wants.
But if she got that breakaway dunk, I would not be mad about it.
No, you and I would both be standing on our chairs at that point.
But I don't know, again, the TCU game, who was more excited, Bree Hall or Watkins on the dunk?
Now, Levy's starting to show some life offensively. You talked about the busted nose. She ran into a teammate in the Vanderbilt game in mid-November. And this is somebody who was selected as their conference player of the year in the preseason. Really scuffling, only 5 points, 4 rebounds a game. That broken nose obviously has a lot to do with that.
Well, she's a scorer. She's got to hunt for her shots and create opportunities because she is the main offensive threat for the Bulls. But to get back in this game, South Florida has got opportunities to present itself after the block. Defense is not back. Advance pass, lead, get down the floor as often as possible. We were talking about Levy. Yeah, she's got to do more of that to get South Florida back in this game.
Again, tabbed as the American Athletic Preseason Player of the Year, but has gotten off to a really rough start because of the injury and adapting to that face mask. Some players do it seamlessly, others it might take all year.
Well, I'm wondering too, because it's black. Some players wear the clear one so it doesn't affect your peripheral as much. That's got to be difficult to wear. I mean, she looks like Batman. That dark kind of cover has got to limit our vision.
I could use that as a personality upgrade if it's going to make me look like Batman, but trying to shoot a basketball against Division I players, especially a team like South Carolina, that's a different matter.
You've got the defense coming at you plus the mask.
Fo Wiley. Oh, great give downstairs. Fagan finished that one up, but that was a stylish pass.
Well, Doug Staley has wanted Malaysia Fo Wiley to work on the moments between the wows. I don't know how many in-between moments those are when she's on the floor.
It's a short wait. Last seconds of the first quarter. And a heave here by Brito. That won't touch anything. And that's the end of the first. South Carolina with a 24-12 advantage and really sharing the ball well.
Of each other. That's why South Carolina gets over 40 points a game in the paint.
We got to believe, too, for South Florida, if they're going to climb back in it and stay in it, they better start making some threes. But as you pointed out during the break, they have yet to attempt one.
Well, because the scouting report is that you've got to cover Blasic and you've got to cover Puisis from the three-point line. And the defense so far has worked well for South Carolina.
Now, the Bulls, by the way, have gone 200 straight games without allowing their opponent to score 90. It's the 7th largest and longest active streak in Division I. And we'll see if they can hang on to that today, giving up 24 in the first. And a scrap for this one. A possession arrow will take it to the other end of the floor here in the first seconds of the second quarter.
Now, Dave, there's a freshman on the floor now for South Carolina, Maddie McDaniel. They call her Mighty Mouse. #1 with the basketball right now. This young woman's composure as a freshman at the point is impressive.
5'9" freshman out of the state of Maryland. And when she runs the offense, a lot of fun to watch. Wiley on the drive, got it underneath Kitts, and she's fouled on the play. That was with 8 on the shot clock. So South Carolina ahead of the foul line. And next Sunday, right here on SEC Network and the ESPN app, #7, Alabama taking on Kent State. Coverage begins at 1 o'clock Eastern, noon Central. We were talking about the SEC with Don Staley during their workout earlier today. We asked her how many out of the SEC does she expect to get in to the NCAA tournament. She thought about it for a moment. She said, could be as many as 10.
Yeah, you got 7 that are ranked in the top 25 right now and have had a pretty impressive non-conference season. You also have Alabama, who is not ranked. I think Vanderbilt has a sophomore, Camille Pierre. She is impressive. Young woman from Arizona.
Yep.
She's really a tweener, a hybrid. She can play inside and out. I like her game.
Yeah, she is legit. Saw her down in Miami where she played exceptionally well. A 2-pointer. Tomaszewska, the freshman from Latvia. And right on the other end, South Carolina with an ultra-quick strike. 26, now 28-14.
The shoot around this morning, Wiley was driving to the basket, and Don Staley said the L in Wiley is for layup. Yeah, that's what she wants to see more from this sophomore.
Now Levy with a nice strike, the senior, who's beginning to heat up, and a rare sloppy play by South Carolina right by Wiley. We're talking about the teams in the top 25 in the SEC, an absolutely loaded conference. South Carolina at the top of this, LSU #4, Texas #6, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Ole Miss.
This SEC season, that's going to be fun. And Don talked about how this will prepare her team for March because she will see so many different styles of play. Oh!
No chance for Dembele there. 3 different Gamecocks in that area code. For Wiley in the corner, here's Johnston. And tried to get it inside for Edwards, but thrown out of play.
Who gets credit for this block? I think you got to give that to Fagan.
I think Fagan probably got it. And keeping it in play, too.
Right. So South Carolina can head in the other direction.
Brito on the wing. Trying to get it inside, and a whistle and a foul with 7:47 to go here in the second. Don Staley, probably nobody as a combination of player and coach in the history of basketball has won more awards and been more decorated than Don Staley. It's staggering what she's won.
Absolutely. And, I think it all started from the motivation. She was denied a national championship when she played at Virginia, and that's been a motivating factor for her as she has continued on in her pro career playing and now as a coach.
It's a play by Brito on the other end to knock that one free of McDaniel. It looked like she had an easy lay-in on the play.
I like Carla Brito because she plays so hard. She never gives up on the play. Look, this is a post player that ran down the point guard.
Brito at 5'11", a junior from Spain. Again, one of the 11 international players on the South Florida roster. Wiley on the attack again. Jumper won't fall. A big battle for the rebound, and the Bulls win that one.
You're going to watch South Florida. They're going to set a lot of screens, a lot of movement. They need to get the ball side to side. You try to enter early on the first side, that's going to be tough against this South Carolina defense.
Maddie McDaniel with the theft, and she'll draw the foul. She went into the week leading the country in assist-to-turnover ratio. She's had 4 or 5 games this season. She didn't turn it over at all.
This is a freshman, a heads-up play, knowing how to get her body around the offense to get the steal. But talking about assist to turnover, it is it's 6.25. She has not had a game all season, Dave, where she's had multiple turnovers. A freshman point guard, not one game, and it's not like she's playing 2 or 3 minutes. She's playing significantly.
Papa way downtown off the back of the iron. They'll get a second look. Edwards right back up. Strong move, but no. Well, she had everything she wanted there, but could not make it. South Florida quickly to the other end. They are going to try and score fast if they get the opportunity. Easier said than done against the Gamecocks, though. Brito airborne. That's a pretty play.
Ooh, and that was nice lift over Fagan. And that was like at 16 seconds in the shot clock.
You know, the tail end of the first quarter, South Florida was on the edge of getting blown out of here. But now they're within 10 points.
South Florida changed up, went to a zone. So they're mixing things up defensively because it was just way too easy. South Carolina was getting what they wanted against the man.
Good save by Pau. McDaniel. Great pass inside for Fagan.
That's what I'm telling you. That's the freshman I was talking about. Maddie McDaniel, the color Mighty Mouse. If she can get inside to the second level of defense and find the open area.
Well, they're trying to get the crowd revved up here on this Sunday afternoon. The students, of course, are home because finals are over. And that tends to be kind of a sleepy time in a lot of arenas around the country. And Gamecocks trying to get them revved up again.
But you look at it. Look, if this is a sparse cloud for South Carolina, you know, they support the Gamecocks here in Columbia.
Well, they certainly do. Dembele with a nice move with the left hand to keep it a 10-point game. At the moment, they have more of a fight on their hands than maybe many expected. Pau. All to make a move into the lane and the kick. McDaniel lifts, can't hit it. Rebound right back up on fall. The Bulls continued to play really tough inside under that iron, even though they are outsized. 5:06 to go in the quarter.
McDaniel off the bounce, gets inside and past, really attracts not one, not two, but 3 defenders and has the presence of mind of knowing exactly where Sanaya Fagan is. And you got to compliment Fagan of stepping into that open area.
Well, you can see the difference McDaniel, the freshman, makes coming into the game. It's instant energy.
Right? I mean, you've got to love this young woman play. I was on X and Plies, the rapper. You know who that is, right?
I sure do.
Well, he loves him some Maddie McDaniel. He said he had peanut and plain M&Ms. He was going to call her M&Ms because she was so sweet.
Oh, goes in strong and lays it in. Nobody stopped her. Nobody picked her up. She got a big smile on her face. She had an open lane there. And back up to 12 for the Gamecocks. 4.5 to go before halftime here at Colonial Life. Romy Levy, who's been the hot hand for the Bulls.
Look, it's just a 12-point game. If they can get this single digits right there. And what did Jose Fernandez said? He wanted to hang around, like keep it close, stay in striking distance. They got to close this gap before the end of the half.
Edwards, cross court, barely got there. Pau is open, but can't stick it. Watkins kept it alive for a second chance. Here's Johnson. Well, South Carolina getting some really good looks.
Yeah, Raven Johnson, she's picked it up as of late. And she's over the last 3 games shooting about 42% from the three-point line.
Dembele. Here's Puisis, and a nice feathery touch from three-point land. And they finally knocked back a 3. They're very much in this game.
Puisis and Blazic, I told you, they had hit 53s coming into today, shooting over 43%. They need more of that from those 2.
All shovels the pass, and good defense by the Bulls in the paint. Putu got a hand on it, but the feathery touch. And South Carolina opens up the lead once again, 34-25.
Keep an eye on Puisis, number 3 in green, that's at the top of your screen. Dembele
looking inside. Here's Brito outside the three.
Here comes Puisis on now she's at the bottom, but Bree Hall is staying with her like a shadow.
Got to get a shot in the air here. Shot clock down to 3. The runner, that didn't have much of a chance. Johnston around the back. On the run, Pau will lay it in. It's a South Carolina team that just oozes talent. 36-25 with 2:20 left in the half.
Pau has really picked up defensively. Levy got by, not able to get that one to go.
Done a fight for it. South Carolina comes away with it. Watkins wins the battle. Edwards down the lane. Follows her own miss. Back up and in and one. Joyce Edwards going to the line looking for a three-point play.
You know what I love about this, Dave, is running in transition. Joyce Edwards very easily could have been called for a charge, but the body control. Oh, that's not the one. That's Pau for 2. Team has their focus, attention to detail is up. Their work ethic, their connectivity has gotten better since that UCLA game.
I know few people who hate losing as much as Dawn Staley, but I always ask the great coaches that when they finally drop a game inside Brito, cannot finish, and the Bulls will come away and get another opportunity here. And I always love their response because most of them will tell you that at the end of the day, they can pull benefits from it. They just don't like going through that particular game.
Well, in order to be great, you got to be uncomfortable. And going through that is extremely uncomfortable. But Dawn is very honest with her team. Yeah, some coaches may take a loss like that, ball up the paper and go, okay, that's not us, move on. Dawn was paying attention, what went wrong, where was the focus, and they've corrected some things.
Well, Edwards off to a good start here today. The freshman from Camden, South Carolina, number 3 recruit in the 2024 class, and she looks it.
Oh, she is steady, confident, not bashful on the floor at all. And intelligent. She already knows she wants to be an environmental attorney.
The follow will be up and good by Putu, the 6'2 senior. South Florida continues to be tough around the rim, even though they are outsized by South Carolina. Edwards dumping it downstairs. That's beautifully done. Right, Watkins for 2.
Well, I don't know if it was Kelly or Steffi in the studio talked about that South Carolina 0 for 4 from 3. Well, when South Florida win a zone, instead of just settling for the three-point shot, they're getting the ball inside in the paint.
Levy to the baseline. Little fall-away shot. Little line drive for South Carolina with 10 and 6 players with at least 4 points. That's the way the Gamecocks win. They've got 10 players averaging 5 points or more per game. A tremendous balance. And we're underway in the second half. Puisis will let fly, but barely nicking the iron. They need her to get going on the South Florida side. And the Gamecocks in transition get it to Hall, looking for the triple, no, but Fagan will return it right back up and in. As they look at their leading scorers, Pau 10, Hall and Fagan with 8, Watkins with 6, and she played some great defense too.
We talked about South Florida's offensive rebounding. Yeah, South Carolina, they have 9 as well. Now that's 10, and that's if South Florida wants to stay in this game, they cannot allow those second chance points.
Levy has to get a shot in the air, or somebody does for the Bulls. Shot clock down to 6, but a travel, and they'll give it right back to the Gamecocks.
I got to believe that in this second half, Jose Fernandez, they really didn't use deep in the shot clock when they were executing offensively, and I think that if he can chip away at this league, he will take the air out of the ball.
Oh, quick drive draws the foul, and Bree Hall will be at the line. The senior out of Dayton, Ohio. Who can certainly shoot it too, but only 7 points per game. Now we'll put Hall at the stripe, 69%. How difficult is that to do? When you get into the locker room, first half's the first half. It's all done. But you want to change tempo. You want to change, the quickness of your attack relatively. How do you do that? How do you get kids to function like that quickly?
I believe that it starts in practice before you understand, okay, this is how we're going to play in the first half, and then the second half, if we can get in striking distance, then this is how we have to play. You got to practice that so that your kids, you're not asking them to do something that they haven't done before.
Right, not just throwing it at them.
And probably, I would believe that probably they shot it a little early because opportunity presented itself in the first half. They got to be more disciplined in the second, especially if they can get this to single digits.
Now look at the leading scorers for the Bulls. And as we mentioned up top, Putu with 8 along with Levy. They really probably need someone to explode here very quickly. The shot clock is down to 5. Long one on the way, and that'll not make it. Levy with the miss. She gets it back in the paint on the drive, but no. Putu right back up and will bank it in.
That's what I'm talking about, lengthening the possession. Got all the way down to 5 seconds in the shot clock, then got an offensive rebound, and then able to score.
Papa slithering that pass and up and in for 2. Fagan with the finish, but a great look by Pau Pau.
One of the things I catch myself doing when I'm watching South Carolina is watching Te-Hina Pau Pau's eyes, because she handles the basketball like it's a part of her body, and she is constantly surveying to find out what the options can be.
Second team All-American last year. May make that first team this year. Blazek on the drive, flipped it up there and draws the foul as she hit the deck.
Here's what I'm talking about with Te-Hina Pau Pau. She pats this rock like it is a part of her body, and then the just pocket pass to Sanaya Fagan. And the timing of it, perfectly. When the defense commits and no rotation is there, Pau Pau puts it on the money.
Bree Hall with a foul to put her at the line. Blazek 7 for 8 coming in at the line this season. The Bulls at 5-5. They've got another big game despite all the heavyweights they've played. They've still got to play Duke on December 21st.
And you know you want to win that one before you go home for Christmas holiday. But Duke is a team. Carol Lawson's teams have really been built on defense. Well, they're putting up 80 points a game this year. Their offense has come around.
Fagan in the paint, denied, and a terrific block. South Florida playing airtight defense at times here in this contest.
And I think Putu took a shot in their abdomen, but she was able to get up and get down the floor.
Dembele pulls up. Blazek will take it into the paint. Tried to get it to Levy, and it's knocked away, and there is a whistle and a foul on Pau Pau with 7:06 to go. Actually going to be on Bree Hall, and she's going to pick up her second. In the third quarter here in Columbia, South Carolina, 48-33, the Gamecocks. The Bulls still hanging around. Levy will back it beyond the 3.
The ball is moving off the bounce, not quick passes for South Florida.
Blazek shot clock down to 2 now. Takes the step, fires, went for the window and missed. Brito tangling up along with Chloe Kitts, and it'll be South Carolina ball in the tie-up. And 6:45 left in the third. And South Carolina national champs in 17, 22, and 24. Undefeated last season, trying to go back-to-back.
South Florida switched up to this 2-3 zone. It's been an area in previous years might have been a problem for South Carolina.
Raven Johnson missing at the elbow there, and another one bottled up, and the possession arrow now goes over to South Florida. And next Sunday right here on SEC Network and the ESPN app, we have 7th-ranked Alabama taking on Kent State. Coverage will begin at 1 o'clock Eastern, noon Central Time.
Alabama just coming off a win against Creighton. And Mark Sears putting up 17 points a game.
Levy has it slapped away. And again, that'll be a foul on Levy as she went down trying to save it. Hey, talking about points, you and I were discussing this at halftime. What Tennessee just did.
Oh, my gosh.
What the Tennessee women did was set a record. And this is incredible. One team hitting 30 three-pointers in a game. That's staggering.
Hit 30. They took 63. They took 63 in one game, but they hit 33s. They scored over 130 points.
Right. Unbelievable.
Let me tell you, I wasn't a believer in Kim Caldwell, the system that she was bringing for Marshall, of how that would transcend to playing in a major Power 4 conference. This is going to be interesting to see.
Watkins going up and in, and South Florida with a player down.
Oh, that's Mama Dembele.
Their point guard, 5'6" grad from Spain, took a shot in the face. They already have Romy Levy, their senior from Israel, wearing a mask with a broken nose. Here's a look.
Oh, looks like Chloe Kitts. Her hand came down.
The previous play is under review.
So the officials going to the monitor to see if there is something extra they need to call here. We'll give you another look at what happened as Chloe Kitts got her with the hand.
I don't see anything that looked unnecessary, hard, or excessive. It was just, I think, a reaction of losing the basketball.
Officials taking what I would think is an exceptionally long period of time on this, but 5:36 to go in the third. And explaining it to both Jose Fernandez and Don Staley. Now, Jose loses out big time on this one because his point guard is lost, at least for the time being.
The previous play has been upgraded to an intentional foul. The foul committed by White, number 21.
All right, I think both of us would disagree with that, but they'll put Pusis at the line, who has not missed a foul shot this season, 10 for 10.
I mean, I know that it was contact above the shoulder, but I felt like it was unnecessary. I mean, it wasn't unnecessary or excessive. It just kind of
totally
coincidental.
Yep. Meanwhile, Pusis actually missing a foul shot and got the second one. So South Florida will have the basketball and trying to creep a little bit closer. They have been trailing most of the day. Blossing around the back, getting chased outside the three-point line, and gave up the dribble into the trap. And a whistle, and that's going to be a tie-up, and it'll be South Carolina ball. So they have the possession arrow and leading by 16. Johnson from the corner, can't sink it. Levy tapped the rebound, and Kitts got to it first.
Oh, that's a missed opportunity by South Florida. You got to get the offense. You've got to get the defensive rebound when you force South Carolina to miss a three.
Kitts wants the paint, stepping inside and draws the whistle. So we'll take a break here under 4:55 to go in the third. South Carolina with a 16-point lead.
Oh, it's Christmas at our house when it comes to college playoffs with my husband and I, and especially when it's Tennessee and Ohio State. That is going to be, the SEC against the Big Ten. I like the new format. Yeah. Play your way to a championship.
Yeah, me too. And I think it probably should expand to even more teams. Who are you taking in that Tennessee-Ohio State?
I am taking Tennessee's offense.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Yep. It should be a blast to watch, and now it all shakes out for a national champion. It'll have everybody talking from coast to coast. Raven Johnson pries it free on the turnover. Great ball movement. Watkins will lay it in. That's pretty.
Yeah, and again, that hockey assist. Raven saw Chloe, who knew that Chloe would be able to find Watkins underneath.
Chloe Kitts is a gifted passer. She can look right over the top and get it there.
Yeah, when you have a 4-player who can pass the ball the way that Kitts does, I mean, it makes the offense for South Carolina work because she's a threat to score in the paint, and then she also has great court vision.
Coming in averaging 11 points, 9 rebounds a game, and some post presence indeed.
You see, watch Kitts coming down the floor, recognizes when it comes to her, the defense is going to step up. So she was already knew where she was going to go with the basketball before she caught it.
So South Carolina bolsters the lead to 20. And look at our game summary. South Carolina with 12 forced turnovers so far and making points off that as they do, as well as anybody in the country.
Well, but Plesis and Blasek, they have not been able to really get going because they've not really been open from the three-point line. And trying to beat South Carolina's defense off the bounce, I'm not sure that's the answer. Let the bodies move, do it off the pass, and with the pressure from South Carolina, look for some backdoor cuts.
Levy on the drive and denied. Watkins with the save after the block on the outlet. For Wiley, that's a terrific pass, and it's tipped out of bounds by Brito. Look at that transition, though, by South Carolina. Did not merit a basket, but it should have.
Well, because of the shot blocking ability, Watkins just completely leaves her person to deny Remy on the drive.
And the presence of mind to go and get it. The entry to her on the baseline. Got it underneath, and one coming. Chloe Kitts off to the line, and again, more interior ball movement here by South Carolina.
The post-game, post-to-post passing of South Carolina, working that baseline and then splitting the two defenders to get the two. Look at that smile on Chloe Kitts' face. Pow Pow's enjoyed it as well.
Kitts, very good foul shooter, 85%, and misfires on that one. But 56-34, South Carolina's D has been awfully good. 5 blocks, 10 steals. We mentioned the points off those turnovers, that ability to convert and do it with a lightning strike for Dawn Staley. 4:01 left in the quarter.
A good sign. Mama Dembele is back on the floor. The point guard for South Florida.
And here she is. Didn't get to her, though. Raven was too quick. Look at the bounce feed. Unable to convert, however, was Watkins.
Oh, but for Raven Johnson, the presence of mind, know where Watkins is.
Tomaszewska inside for 2. 5'11" freshman from Latvia.
When Tomaszewska comes in the game, she's been a spark. She's been an instant offense for the Bulls.
Oh, nice spin move and up and in for 2 for Edwards. Tough to stop that. The 6'3" freshman. It's an impressive game here.
And no panic. You know, most freshmen will get inside, head contact, I got to get rid of it. No, she was composed, keep it herself, and get the finish.
So that big-time danger zone here that so many opponents face when they come into this building. Few don't at some point.
Well,
Utu underneath and draws the foul.
South Carolina's on a 63-game home win streak.
So 3:07 left in the third. And South Florida will be at the line. 58-36. Pow with a rest. And then we mentioned that Dembele returned a couple of moments ago after taking that shot to the head. It looks like she is okay. Easy for me to say, but she looks fine.
Now, I asked the official in the break, why was this upgraded? And you can see the scratches on her forehead, and I think that that's where the officials thought maybe that was a little excessive, the blow to the head.
Full Wiley outside the three-point line. On the quick dribble, dumped it downstairs. Edwards couldn't finish. Full Wiley tried to return it back in there, but batted away.
You see, the pressure of South Carolina causes you, when you catch the ball, and I think it's a safety valve for a lot of players. They catch it and automatically go to the dribble.
Point guard on the drive and knocked away by Johnson. She's just everywhere defensively. Defensively, so quick.
Look, when Raven Johnson came in as a freshman, though she tore her ACL, I was excited about watching this young woman play because I watched her in high school. And she can do a little bit of everything. I mean, she's averaging 4 rebounds a game from a guard spot.
Just trying to get it in is a tough task for South Florida. Now Raven will hit the bench, gets a nice hand. And a high five, low five from her coach. 11 seconds on the shot clock. Blazig lets fly, but that won't drop. And now Maddie McDaniel will bring it across. Exciting young point guard for South Carolina. Edwards off the window. No, draws another whistle.
I've talked to Jolette Law about Maddie McDaniel's #1 in white, and she said, you know, when she watched her with AAU, Dawn Staley said this also, that Maddie had to do everything for her high school team, had to be a scorer, didn't really know how that would translate with playing with so much talent around her. Well, I think that it is as clear as Rosetta Stone. It has translated beautifully to this level.
Those two have, you can tell, a great relationship, and they squared off in practice today. Who was taller?
Maddie swears she's taller than Jolette Law.
Yes.
And I think Maddie is correct.
But it was close. Coming up on 2 minutes left in the third.
South Carolina bringing some full court pressure. You can tell Dawn in the things that she's implementing, the full court press. She put in a 1-3-1 half court defense, working on things for March.
Dembele taking a tumble there and tripped on the play. She went down. Under 2 left in the third. And so at the line will be the point guard Dembele to shoot.
You've done several South Carolina games. Have you ever seen Dawn Staley be happy on the sideline?
Not during a game.
Right.
I don't know if I've ever seen her smile during a game. After games, workouts, practices, yes.
Yes.
No question it's there. But, man, is it all business during the game.
A couple weeks ago, well, before the Duke game, I was able to come in and watch them. They have Molly Benetti does a workout with the coaching staff. Dawn Staley works out as intensely in her workout as she coaches.
Right. On the spin, left short there by Blazig. One and done. Here comes Fulwiley. Full head of steam and lays it in downhill. Who's faster?
I don't know that there's anybody that's faster than Malaysia Fulwiley on the floor with the basketball. Maybe Hannah Hidalgo of Notre Dame.
Yes.
Those two going at it. That's fun to watch.
I kind of want to see that.
Yeah, it was fun watching them in Paris last year. Fulwiley, burst of speed, and I think she has the highest vertical on the team.
Just a great, great athlete. Fastest player on this team, best vertical jump on the team, and impressive in the weight room from all reports too.
She works hard at her game. I also went back and found clips of Malaysia. She's not far from here, and she used to do countdowns like 3, 2, 1, imagining herself hitting the winning shots.
Yeah.
So she's prepared for this.
Nice touch there by Levy, who has 10 points. First time in double figures in 9 games for her. Underneath, Edwards will finish that one off. Joyce Edwards with 2. Continues to have a high-octane game here today. 64-41. So the Gamecocks very comfortable.
Look, on the floor right now, South Carolina has 2 sophomores, a freshman, and a junior. The future's bright for the Gamecocks.
Levy trying to drive it. Flipped up off the glass, no. And puts it with a miss inside. McDaniel. Down to 3 to get off a shot before the end of the quarter. Tipped away, and it won't drop, and that's the end of 3 here in South Carolina. The Gamecocks opening things up here in the third quarter, leading 64-41. For most teams.
The reserves outscore the starters. It might be just by 0.4%, but a point, it's like 0.5. But just to have the ability to keep your foot on the gas with South Carolina and keep waves of talent coming at you, that'll wear a team down.
And it has to the tune of 9-1, the one defeat against UCLA. And another tie-up. We've had a bunch of those today, just underway here in the fourth quarter. The possession arrow will take us to the other end. It'll be South Carolina ball. So Jose Fernandez has had a lot of success at South Florida. He's won almost 470 games. He's taken the Bulls to the NCAA tournament 8 times in the last 12 years. He's won 20 games 11 different times.
He's preparing himself for conference play, and they are picked to win the American Conference.
Johnson on target. Raven hits that one. And it balloons to 67-41. Yeah, they're picked to win the American Athletic. In fact, for the 5th year in a row.
And Jose Fernandez has overtaken Gino Auriemma of the most wins in that conference.
Well, nice touch by Puisis, the 6'1" grad out of Mason, Ohio, who is in year 6. Spent her first 3 years at Dembele. Just good to see her back in the game after taking that shot on the head. We're talking about Jose Fernandez, 25 years at South Florida. His 2021 team defeated the reigning national champ. Following year, they beat Stanford.
Well, and he even flashed back to the execution underneath the out-of-bounds play that he had in order to hit a 3 to win that one. That's why he talked about it's so important against these strong teams like a South Carolina, Connecticut. You got to stay in striking distance.
He said pretty much, dialoguing an upset. Okay, how it works. You've got to have the other guy playing poorly and maybe missing a key player. That was the case with Stanford that day. And he said you've got to stay connected. Play defense, stay right there, and hope to hit a last-second shot. That's exactly what they did.
Well, and in practice, you've got to practice those situations so you give your team the confidence that the potential to pull off that win is actually there.
That's right. Talk about it like it's a reality.
Absolutely.
Like it absolutely is going to happen. Not, hey, we're going to dream it. It is going to happen.
Yeah, you've got to put your players in the mindset of what can be done.
As you're talking, I'm hearing Herb Brooks in the locker room, during the Olympics, talking to his hockey team in 1980, right? Quick strike inside by South Florida. Trying to inch a little bit closer here in the final quarter here in Columbia. Great to have you with us today, and we certainly hope you've enjoyed this afternoon as Pow Pow can't hit. Watching one of the great teams in college basketball in South Carolina as they try to get back to the top rung again. Right now, number 3 in the poll. Get the feeling they don't like that very much.
But in what Don Staley said, people are talking about us and kind of doubting them, so that allows them to play with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder.
Which they do like very much.
They do like that a lot.
Yeah, they consider themselves a better team with that chip on their shoulder. It's us against everybody. In fact, that's on their T-shirts and their sweatshirts. Gamecocks against the world, basically.
5 at a time. It's hockey style. She keeps fresh bodies on the court. And for 4 straight quarters, it is just full court pressure. The defense has returned to Rocky Top.
Boy, I'll say. And they're not settling for layups, man.
Oh, no. They forced 44 turnovers. When you have 44 turnovers, you think that's layups? The Lady Vols, they're lining up outside that three-point arc.
Vega now the season high 14 points, 69-45, South Carolina.
And South Carolina needs that kind of production from Sanaya Fagan, the starting center for them, to have a presence both offensively and defensively.
Very physical, very strong player. Kitts denying from behind. Nice defensive play there. And here comes Raven Johnston. Back down to Kitts. And she did a great job going end to end.
She runs the floor. Chloe Kitts does, number 21 in white. Her athleticism and her work ethic, Dave, on game days, she goes in the weight room. She is continuing to work on her body to prepare for the next level, but also to be her best here in Columbia.
And for most players, that's more of a break day. The game, obviously, is the game, but you're not lifting at the same juncture, are you?
Yeah, and I asked Molly Benetti about that, and she said a lot of times that activates your muscles to get a strength workout in on game day.
Levy will draw the foul here. Back to Kitts going end to end.
As soon as South Carolina gets the basketball, Kitts gets out in transition. And you notice where she's running down the middle of the floor, not to the block, but the middle, to make the defense have to commit to one side or the other.
So here comes team 2 for South Carolina. Just about as good as team 1. And unfortunately for the opponent.
I know as a player and as a starter, when the opponent would then sub, you thought, well, you can get a little bit of a break. That's not the case when you're playing South Carolina. It gets worse for you.
It can get really bad. Or really good for Dawn Staley, who loves her depth. So 6 minutes to go. Gamecocks have really been enjoying it today on their home floor in front of their outstanding fans. But they always draw incredible crowds and get ready for the holidays. During the workout today, I mean, this is a happy team anyway, as they should be. They're the reigning national champs, but even happier because finals are over.
Exactly. And I asked Dawn, I said, now how do you keep your team focused? You've just got a few games before the Christmas break. And she said, I just have to say UCLA. She said, sometimes I don't even have to put the CLA. Just say U.
Yeah. I think that's going to resonate all year. Edwards continues to get it done. A season-high 13 for Joyce Edwards, the freshman. She had a 13-point, 11-rebound game against number 15 Iowa State. Swooping inside Levy, but can't finish it. And it's going to be tipped out off of South Carolina. 5:22 to go. And Brito going into the stands, working hard.
South Carolina's got 5 players in double figures. And the bright spot for South Florida, Laura Putu, I mean, she has been all over the glass with 8 offensive rebounds. Against South Carolina, that's saying something.
Puisis can't hit from 3. She's 42% out there. For Wiley to make a move on a spin. Got the pass away to Edwards. She's bottled up. And a turnover on the travel. So 5:05 to go. Levy gives up the dribble. Downstairs, Brito. Not there for her. And Watkins with the rebound. Well, Wiley has it batted away. Tough defense there by Dembele.
That's a couple of back-to-back turnovers for South Carolina.
And they pay the price as Puisis swishes that one from the corner. $73-50. McDaniel in and out. Boy, that was in the cylinder.
I was more impressed with Ashlyn Watkins' ball handling before the pass.
And it'll be back over to the Gamecocks here. A Tuesday night, we have a men's basketball doubleheader coming your way right here on SEC Network and the ESPN app. First game, the annual Palmetto State rivalry. That's between South Carolina, of course, number 16 Clemson at Colonial Life Arena. Our coverage begins at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, 6 Central.
A couple of the men's players here watching the women play. See, this is the versatility of Joyce Edwards. That's your post player defending the guard, point guard. She gets switched off.
Puisis again left open and will drain it. So she's hit a couple of late shots here in the fourth. She came in 13th in the country with 29 made threes. So she can shoot it.
She can definitely shoot it. Shooting over 40%. She is at the top of everyone's scouting report when they face the Bulls.
So back down to 20 with about 3 to go. Edwards on the baseline for 2. And continues to have a standout day for Dawn Staley. 75-53. And a timeout, Jose Fernandez. So South Florida will take one here. And we'll keep it with 3 minutes to go in the fourth. And South Carolina with a comfortable day for the most part. Very rarely tested seriously. So you haven't seen the trademark scowl that often from Dawn today. Once or twice.
Well, they had a couple of turnovers, and I know that drives Dawn crazy. But Jose Fernandez, he called timeout because with 3 minutes left, what he tells us before the game, he wanted his team to play hard and to compete. And that's what and I'm sure that he'll come out of this with some full court pressure. Like, he's going to leave it on the floor today. He's not going to throw in the white towel just because there's only 3 minutes left.
Well, South Carolina has already played a whale of a schedule. That's nothing new for Dawn. And Duke, TCU, South Florida today, Charleston Southern coming up, and Wofford December 29th. That's the rest of December. But soon enough, inside the absolutely brutal Southeastern Conference. That's on the men's and the women's side. The SEC, I mean, there's not a single day, it feels like, where you've got a shot at a cakewalk.
No, it's a night in and night out. You know, both Tennessee men and women. Tennessee's men sitting on top of the AP poll. And that's the game I want to see, though, on the women's side, Tennessee and South Carolina, because they are contrasting styles. They both have depth. Now, can the guards handle the pressure of Tennessee, and can Tennessee rebound with South Carolina?
Levy from the corner. The line driver won't drop. Rebounded away by Puisis off the window. No. And now South Carolina has a head of steam and the numbers for Wiley. Scoops it downstairs and draws the foul.
Just wondering if Phil Wiley knew Watkins was trailing behind. I mean, a potential for yet another dunk.
Tessa Johnson, the 6-foot sophomore, headed to the line. She makes 75%. Like so many South Carolina players, she has come up big in big moments. Named to the 2024 Final Four All-Tournament team. It's been the way of it for the Gamecocks. It's one after another. It's the next player up, you know, to have a great game.
And plenty of talent coming in. You know, the recruiting just continues to add, to this roster year after year. And listen, these players aren't worried about, oh, well, I'm going to have to come off the bench. Remember Letitia Ami here? Well, she's in the WNBA and didn't start for the Gamecocks.
Puisis will knock back another three. They needed a lot more of those early in the game when they weren't falling. Here late they are, 77-56. Dembele going for the turnover. Puisis will lay it up and in. And a timeout. Now Dawn Staley is unhappy. Not too pleased at all in getting a timeout, despite the score.
But the last thing that you want to do after you have played for 3.5 quarters pretty solid basketball to end the last 3 minutes sloppy, because that's what you're going to have to watch in the film room.
Now this quarter, pretty good advantage for the Bulls, 17-13. That's the way they needed to play all game long. They're going to run out of time here today with just over 2 minutes to go, but that doesn't mean that Coach Staley, the Hall of Famer, is really happy at the moment. You know, one thing that Dawn did tell us during the workout today was how pleased she is, how happy she is with the future of South Carolina basketball. She said, we have a very bright future.
Oh, absolutely. And a lot of that stems from the upperclassmen. They take the underclassmen under their wing and help them understand the standard that has been set here in Columbia.
Ball inside, but no. And under 2 minutes left here in Columbia today. Gamecocks going to go to 10-1. South Florida will fall to 5-6 on the year. And they have played, they have played an incredibly rugged schedule. We mentioned they've taken on Louisville, they've taken on UConn, they've taken on TCU, and they've got Duke still to come. Getting hot late in the game. Brito will cash in. So it's going to be respectable here.
I think that we talked about the sloppy play of South Carolina that Dawn will have to show to her players. Jose Fernandez will have some bright spots to show how his team was able to score and do some things, get on the glass against South Carolina, and that's something he can build from.
But the standard is so high for the Gamecocks. It's championship high. So she's not going to be smiling when she leaves the floor. Jose might be, even though he's going to lose by 15 or 16 probably. Just the way it is. And that'll be a bounced out of play with 1:03 to go. Well, South Carolina gets some really nice games out of Joyce Edwards and also Sanaya Fagan. The two of them together were really the stars on the floor today for the Gamecocks. And Bele going in strong, and she'll draw the foul with 49 to go. And South Carolina with great balance. Pow Pow's 12 a game, Kit's 11. Full Wiley 11 a game, and then you've got Edwards and Johnson at 9 points a game. You don't have that one scorer that you can key on who averages 20-25 points a game that you have to stop.
Well, you look at the different ways that you approach teams. You think, okay, one, you try to cut the head off of the snake, and that would be Tahina Pow, but you still have Raven Johnson, Malaysia Full Wiley, that can run the show. Or you say, I'm not going to allow South Carolina to get points in the paint. Well, they've got the shooters on the perimeter. You bring in a Tessa Johnson who can knock it down. So there's so many different ways South Carolina can beat you.
Many reasons they are favored to go back to the Final Four again. McDaniel on the drive over the shoulder, but draws a whistle there with 23.8 to go. And it'll be McDaniel to shoot.
Look, there's only two Gamecocks that have not gotten in the scores column. McDaniel is one of them.
Good foul shooter, 80%. And another one coming for Maddie McDaniel. Came in averaging 6 points a game. And 1 of 2. Well, South Florida will continue their run. It'll go to 201 straight games without allowing their opponent to get to 90 points. So they can say that coming out of Columbia. Little floater up, won't fall for Puises. Final seconds here. And Full Wiley will dribble it out. So South Carolina, as you mentioned, a solid effort today. They win at 78-62 over the Bulls.
Yeah, and they were very efficient, 52% from the floor, and impressive.
Came out for the start of quarter, start of halves really well, and then maybe, some, I don't want to call it lag time, but kind of slowed down at the after. What was your view from the bench?
I think sometimes when we get out to a quick start, we think it's going to be a lopsided win. So we really just focus on offense. And then we get really careless and undisciplined defensively. And then teams will show you who they are, and they capture the momentum of the game, and they make you pay.
Coach Fernandez talked about how he wanted to come out and control the third quarter. Said pretty sure the halftime speech to your team was pretty lit a fire into them. How did that conversation at halftime go between you and your team?
Oh, no lighting of any fires. I think it's. I get straight to the point. We were undisciplined. We started reaching, we started gambling, and once we got back to just being our discipline. our disciplined style of play, we can create our own momentum, and I thought we did that.
I know it sounds really simple, but you've talked a lot about layups this year, just needing to hit those. You had your season high today in layup percentage. How much easier is it to design an offense when just the simple stuff's going down like that?
It makes life easier. It surely does. I think if we didn't make as many layups today at a pretty efficient clip, they could have made it interesting because they did a really good job at intentionally, and that's the way they play. They take the air out of the ball, not so to speak, but they're moving. They make you play for 20, 25 seconds in the shot clock. So they take possessions away. If we're not as efficient as we were, they could have made it interesting. So we try to pick our spots and speed the game up, pressing a little bit, just keeping them off balance a little bit. I thought we did a really good job with that.
Going off of that and just kind of in the paint production and the half-court offense, I guess, what did you see? What did you like? And, not just that Sanaya, Joyce were hitting layups, but just kind of how Chloe was seeing them pow, things like that, just the whole units as a whole.
I mean, there were times when we just really played connected basketball. We really found the best shot on the floor, and we need to continue to do that in longer stretches. That's what it was. I think one of the first plays of the game, Fagan catches the ball outside the paint. Like, why? Like, the play is set for you to get 2 feet in the paint, seal your man. We give you the ball. You have nothing else to think about besides putting the ball in the hole. So, once we got to getting them the ball in the paint with 2 feet in the paint, they were real efficient, and if we can steal some moments like that throughout the game, it just helps decrease the amount of pressure that our offense has to perform at a high clip.
Dawn, is some of what you're seeing out of your team, is it distressing to you at this point that you can look as good as maybe you did against TCU and then come in and have some issues?
Yeah, you get greedy. You think they have it. Like, this is it. Like, this is how we're gonna. This is our norm now, our standard. And then you backslide a little bit, and it's just that fight. You just got to continue to fight for the way that we need to play, no matter who we're playing, and it's impactful basketball. So they're young though. They don't, they fall victim to just the crowd, pleasing the crowd. Just offensively, they get really up for, making baskets. They forget about how we build our lead, and we built our lead on what we were able to do defensively.
Your post players combined for over 50 points. We've talked about it earlier before the season started. It's hard to replace Camilla. How much confidence does it give the coaching staff to see what they did today and come all together in the production they had?
Well, we've been really intentional about getting them the ball. Really, really intentional. I think earlier in the season we were pretty guard heavy in what we were doing and the amount of shots that we were taking, and we weren't giving them as many looks as we needed to give them. So we've been working on being intentional about getting them the ball, and they've done a great job at just moving the chain when it comes to their production, from a rebounding, from a defensive standpoint, and now offensively it's starting to click for some of them.
Hey, Coach. One thing Coach Fernandez credited you all for is your depth. Can you talk about the benefit of having that depth, but also the challenge of making sure everyone does get quality time?
Yeah, we just talked about that in the locker room after the game. It is, we play consistently 10, which is hard, right? We got 13, so the 3 other players that don't play, they just sat for 38 minutes. And then we put them in, and our expectation is You know, you don't give up any points and you push the lead forward. That's our expectation. It's hard. It's hard though to sit there for that long and not get any run. But I say for the 10 players, it's hard as well because if someone's got it going on, more times than not, we're gonna play them till the cows come home, right? That means somebody's minutes are shrinking. Like I looked at the stat sheet at halftime, Chloe played 6 minutes. I'm like, I gotta get her minutes back. So she played a little bit longer in the third period than she normally does. Joyce played a little bit less, but Joyce, got minutes, 13 minutes in the first half. So it's, you really have to explain to young people that that's how it is, because or else they'll think I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm playing bad. And that's the furthest from it. Like it's, and I have to catch myself and say, hey, I got to explain this. Breezy was playing about 15, 16 minutes. And I had to ask her, like, how you feeling? She's like, I'm fine. It's Breezy. She's always going to have a positive. And I'm like, how do you feel about your minutes? And she was like, well, I'm not playing as much. I said, you're not, but they're lean minutes. They're not like, and you're not doing anything that's forcing me to sit you. It's just, other play. Lay was playing better. Like Lay, the more she plays, like she plays, sometimes it leads to less minutes for Breezy or Tessa or Powell. So it's not anything wrong with what they're doing. It's more about what their competitors are doing, and it's a healthy competition. It's a healthy thing that's happening on our team because it's a moving target. Like it's not like one person it's multiple people that are playing well. Thank you.
Position, especially to get some of those assists. Was that part of the game plan? Just your teammates finding you? What went on today?
No, just my teammates finding me, just being ready for any and everything when they pass it to me. So, yeah. Oh, sorry. I'll slow down.
For both of you, I mean, the just paint play and the success everyone kind of had, but especially you two, was that kind of something you were seeing? Where did that come from? Is it just like 10 games now, you're gelling, stuff like that? Where were you able to kind of capitalize on their defense?
I say we just capitalized on our defense. We were just ready for any dump off or like assist passes. So just keeping our hands ready and just staying ready for the moment.
Yeah, I feel like it was me and Sanaya more offensively this game, but next game it could be Lay, Chloe, Raven, anybody. I think that's like one of the special things about our team is that anybody can go off any day. So,
Joyce, is it getting more comfortable for you out on the court? You come in with all these expectations about where you're going to fit in on a national championship team, and it seems like you're blending in more and more game after game.
Yeah, honestly, it's my teammates. We are practicing against each other more, and going against them helps me. They push me. They give me opportunities to score, so I'm just putting my trust in them.
For both of you guys, we've talked about, or more so in the preseason, how difficult it was going to be to replace a talent like Camila Cardoso in the paint. So how much of this type of performance when the paint post players nearly score 60 combined points gives you guys confidence moving forward that you guys can do this by committee?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Camilo's a big post presence, but we all understood that we all can bring our own value to the table, and today we kind of just did us. We understood they were undersized and that we were going to have a mismatch in the post, and we exploited it, and that's the game plan, so we just executed it.
I guess for either of you, first 5-6 minutes you guys came out firing. Didn't look like there was much rust off, a week without playing. What was working so well just in the early minutes to get such a big lead early?
Just to stay ready. We stayed ready for the moment. We went out there and did what we had to do. Been playing, like Joyce said earlier, been playing hard, playing strong and competitive this whole week. So just staying ready for the moment. So.
First off, I know how hard it is for Coach to get people to come play her here. And for us, for us starting a home and home, it's good for our program and the Tampa Bay community. And